leave behind everything they knew in pursuit of everything they dreamt could be. That I am standing here before you all today is beyond my parents' wildest dreams. It is also a manifestation of their greatest nightmare, that we still live in a world where Jews can be butchered in broad daylight as the world watches in silence. But my story is not unique. Our stories as Americans and as Jews may be written in different languages, but their arcs are one and the same. Our ancestors risked everything to reestablish themselves in America.
Different political
a
beliefs and
country
views
they
are about what's
dreamed
happening
would be
overseas,
free
you
of
do
Jew
not have to
hatred.
support all the policies of Israel to
Unfortunately,
support
that
and love
dream
and stand
has
with all
not
the
yet
people
been
of Israel
realized.
during a time of profound mourning. During a time of
One
profound
thing
mourning.
has changed.
That's why I'm here.
We no
Like all
longer
of us,
have to make
it was
the
just said,
choiceless choice
my heart
that our
breaks
parents and
for
grandparents
all
did.
the Israeli children.
We will not retreat
My
or
heart
free.
breaks for
Their
all the Palestinian
sacrifice
children.
demands so
And my
much
heart
more of
breaks
us.
for all the Jewish
Thanks to
American
this
children.
great nation against the Iranian Jewish community. On October 7th, they waged that war against the international Jewish community. In the wake of the revolution, my family made the choiceless choice to leave behind everything they knew in pursuit of everything they dreamt could be. That I am standing here before you all today is beyond my parents' wildest dreams. It is also a manifestation of their greatest nightmare, that we still live in a world where Jews can be butchered in broad daylight as the world watches in silence. But my story is not unique. Our stories as Americans and as Jews may be written in different languages, but their arcs are one and the same. Our ancestors risked everything to reestablish themselves in America.
Our different political beliefs and views against Muslims. Let's take a stand here against hatred. Let's take a stand here against hatred of all kinds. I don't want any Jewish mother to be afraid here to drop her baby off at the JCC. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want any Jewish son to be afraid to leave his dorm room and go to the halal center for a meal. I don't want that. I don't want that. And I don't want any rabbi tonight to have to go and buy an extra can of white paint just to be able to paint over a swastika on a synagogue tomorrow morning here in the United States. I don't want that. I don't want that. And I definitely don't want any Jewish daughter, which I just learned, to change her name in her rideshare app because she's afraid for her driver to know that she is Jewish. That should not be happening here. That should not be happening here. So, no matter what happens anyplace else, we can do better here. No more horror there. No more hatred here. You are not alone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
גם אם לא שברתי שילמתי, לך תמצא על מי לכעוס. אין אוויר בשמיים, איך אפשר לנשום? הכל תקוע במקום, אבל עוד לא הפסקתי and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing of that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please welcome Omer Adam.
למה ככה עצובה, בלילות לא ישנה, כל היום במחשבות, והלב לא יכול לשכוח, שהייתי ילדה קטנה, אז אצלנו בשכונה, מסתובבת ברחוב, כולם שואלים מה יש
Of Israel, Isaac Herzog.
Thank you, Julie. Shalom, friends, sisters and brothers, Achiotai ve'echai. I'm speaking to you from the single most sacred site in the Jewish world, the Kotel, the Western Wall in Jerusalem. The Kotel that reminds us that Am Israel, we, the people of Israel, are eternal and no one will break us. From the Jewish symbol of fulfillment of our ancient dreams to the American symbols of freedom, liberty, and democracy. Thank you. Thank you to the hundreds of thousands who've gathered from all over the United States, all people of goodwill, friends from different communities, faiths, and denominations who gathered today for this massive show of solidarity. In the state of Israel's darkest moment, you stood up and declared, Hineni, I am here. We are here. There's no greater and more just cause than this. Today, we come together as a family, one big mishpacha, to march for Israel. to march for the babies, the boys and girls, women and men viciously held hostage by Hamas, to march for the right of every Jew to live proudly and safely in America, in Israel, and all around the world. Above all, we come together to march for good over evil, for human morality over bloodthirst. We march for light over darkness. "80 years ago, Jews came out of Auschwitz and vowed never again. As the blue and white flag was hoisted over our ancient homeland, we vowed never again. 40 days ago, a terrorist army invaded the sovereign state of Israel and butchered hundreds upon hundreds of Israelis in the largest massacre since the Holocaust. Let us cry out together, never again, never again, never again is now. The Hamas savagery and crimes against humanity bring to my mind, as President Biden has said, the worst rampages of ISIS. We, the people of Israel, are grateful to President Biden, his administration, and so many members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. The moral clarity and bold actions of our American allies demonstrate the depth of the U.S.-Israel alliance, which is stronger than ever before. Since October 7th, Israeli society and the Jewish people have truly come together in unison. We feel our hearts beat as one. We hear our brothers and sisters' blood crying out to us from the ground, Kol dmei achicha tzoakim elai min ha'adama. Once again in Jewish history, we demand, let our people go. Whilst our loved ones are held captive in Gaza and our soldiers are fighting for our beloved Israel, Jews all over the world are assaulted for being Jewish. The hatred, the lies, the brutality, the disgraceful outbursts of ancient anti-Semitism are an embarrassment to all civilized people and nations. Jews in America must be safe. Jews all over the world must be safe. I salute you, the women and men who stand up to massive hatred and pressure in the community or on campus. Just as you stand with us, we stand with you. Dear brothers and sisters, dear friends, as President of the State of Israel, Medinat Israel, I vow to you from Jerusalem, from the Kotel, that we will heal, we will rise again, and we will rebuild. To paraphrase the prophet Zechariah, boys and girls shall once again play in the streets of Be'eri and Sderot, and the elderly shall sit peacefully by the walkways of Nachal Oz and of Fakim. And when the sounds of life and laughter return to the villages, the kibbutzim and the cities, our constant yearning for peace will return as well. Together we pray for the safe return of our hostages. Together, we pray for the full recovery of the wounded. And together we pray for our beloved sons and daughters in the IDF. May God bless them and keep them. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו. Together we grieve and together we shall overcome. Am Yisrael Chai. God bless Israel. God bless America.
Please join Cantor Chaim Burson from New York in the prayer for the IDF.
אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה בישראל, יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, העומדים על משמר וערי אלוהינו, מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים, ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה, ביבשה את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה. Together. וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, יגבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם, להושיע אתכם ונאמר
please welcome the chair of the Conference of Presidents, Harriet Schleifer.
Thank you. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to welcome the ambassadors from Cyprus, Greece, Guatemala, Jamaica, and North Macedonia, along with Ambassador Gilad Erdan from Israel. Welcome. As the daughter of two Holocaust survivors, I march for Israel. As a Jew, and together with you, people of goodwill and moral clarity, we march against anti-Semitism. And as a mother and ordinary citizen, I march, we march for the hostages to be freed. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. Scroll. Scroll. We stand here in a city often divided along partisan lines, but not when it comes to Israel. Democrats and Republicans alike are standing up and speaking out, decrying anti-Semitism, demanding an end to Hamas's reign of terror, and supporting the Israeli people as they seek peace, justice, and the safe return of our hostages. Later today, we'll hear from congressional leaders in both parties who have come to show their support. They are true friends of Israel. And we have another true friend of Israel living up at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. President Joe Biden has been a steadfast ally and champion of our shared values. The president's visit of condolence and friendship to Israel after October 7th moved Israelis to the core. We are grateful for his leadership. And now I am honored to introduce his special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, the wonderful Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt.
בטח תחשבי שזה מוזר.
230 years ago, President George Washington reassured the Jews of Newport that our new nation would give bigotry no sanction and persecution no assistance. His meaning and his message were quite specific. In the United States of America, the bigotry of anti-Semitism must have no place, no quarter, no haven, no home. Anti-Semitism, or more explicitly, Jew hatred, the world's longest, oldest form of prejudice, has pierced and permeated too many countries, too many cultures, faith communities. It comes at us from all political, religious, and cultural directions. Groups that agree on nothing else agree on their suspicion and hatred of Jews. And if we needed any reminder about the validity of that claim, the past 5 weeks have made it plain. So today, as a representative of President Biden and Vice President Harris and the United States government, I can tell you without hesitation, regardless of party or political persuasion, at the White House or in the Congress, at home and abroad, this government stands shoulder to shoulder against Jew hatred. We stand arm in arm to combat anti-Semitism, wherever it hides or attempts to reside. We echo our founding father unequivocally and unreservedly. Today in America, we give anti-Semitism no sanction, no foothold, no tolerance, not on campus, not in grade school, not in our neighborhoods, not in our streets of our cities, not in our government, nowhere, not now, not ever. The reason is simple. Anti-Semitism is wrong. It is hateful. It is an immediate threat to Jews everywhere, and that alone would be sufficient reason to combat it. But anti-Semitism is far more than just that. It is an affront to the integrity of our laws. It is a gateway to prejudice, racism, injustice of every form. It is a direct danger to our democracy. And we, the United States government, will fight it. Full stop. I have the honor and responsibility to travel the world, to wage this fight in foreign lands. And in the past 5 weeks, I have visited many of our major European allies. And the message I deliver and the message I hear everywhere is unmistakable. No sanction for anti-Semitism. When Holocaust memorials are vandalized in Canada, France, Greece, Denmark, or the United States, when Molotov cocktails are thrown at synagogues in Berlin and Montreal, when Jews peacefully protesting are physically or verbally intimidated, when Jewish children are harassed, when protesters chant "Gas the Jews," when Jewish stars are painted on buildings housing Jews, that is not expressing support for Palestinian rights. That is Jew hatred, pure and simple. We must not be blind to the hate implicit in the widespread celebrations of Hamas's October 7th killing spree. When protesters chant peace and glory to the martyrs, that incites more hatred, more deaths. It is a danger to the values and underpinning of the stability and decency of any society anywhere in the world. Hate is not a zero-sum game. Hate and violence directed at any member of our society because of who they are is un-American and wrong. Thankfully, countries once beset by anti-Semitism are acting to counter it. Our major European allies have deployed legions of police officers to protect Jewish institutions. But there are some countries that are spreading and fostering hatred of Jews. The world must unite to condemn and combat it. Today, gathered before me on this wall are people of all faiths, beliefs, identities, and backgrounds. You are united by your abhorrence of Jew hatred and your recognition of its lethal nature. We are grateful for the myriad of law enforcement personnel who protect us. And please remember to thank them. But the fact is that no group of Americans should have to live that way. They should live free, in need of no protection, unflinching and unafraid. Let me be clear. Do not sink to the level of those who harass you. Do not tear down posters. Do not intimidate those who disagree with you. Do not block their path or taunt them as they do to you. But do not cower. Allow no one to make you afraid. The message is built into the Jewish people's most ancient history. Jews are strongest at their broken places. Know that this nation's leaders are determined to oppose anti-Semitism at every turn. They are by your side now and long into the future. The fight will be a long one, but Jews have faced such challenges before and have overcome them. You who hate this evil will prevail because this cause has justice wholly on its side. The fight will be won because there is no other option. And because, as President Washington reassured the Jews of Newport, this nation gives bigotry no sanction. And 230 years later, that still holds true. Chazak ve'ematz. Chazak ve'ematz, be strong and of good courage. Thank you for that strength. Thank you for that courage. Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage Harriet Schleifer and Julie Platt.
We are pleased to welcome to the stage the bipartisan, bicameral leadership from the United States Senate and House of Representatives.
From the United States Senate, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. From the House of Representatives, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson.
From the House of Representatives, Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And representing the Senate Republican leadership, Senator Joni Ernst.
Thank you, everybody. We are here united, Democrat and Republican, House and Senate, to say we stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. We stand. We stand. We stand. We stand. We stand. Now, my friends, there are no words for the horror that happened 1 month ago in Israel. The most Jews killed in a single day since the Holocaust. It brings back much darker days. And let us not forget history. History shows that when the world ignored anti-Semitism in the last century, it led to the worst catastrophe in human history. 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust. Let us not forget history. History shows that Israel was almost destroyed in 1967 and in 1973. We must not let that happen again. Let us not forget history. History shows that anti-Semitism has been deep in the core of Europe for centuries. and that too many European nations have never been friends of Israel. And history shows that when anti-Semitism rears its ugly head, if it's not dealt with forcefully and directly, it grows into a deadly force. But my friends, history reminds us also of one thing, that even in its darkest days, the United States has always stood with Israel, and we will do everything to see that that never, ever changes. USA, 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 we are with Israel. Let us not forget, my friends, the evils of Hamas. When Hamas says from the river to the sea, they mean all of present-day Israel should be a Jewish free land. In fact, Hamas has said that what they did, the horror that they did on October 7th to the Jewish communities near the Gaza border, they should do to all Israelis. Just look at Hamas's founding document. It says, is that a Jew behind the tree? Cut down the tree so you can shoot him. That is the evil of Hamas. Never, never, never will we forget the evil of Hamas. Never again, never again, never again, never again. Now, my friends, the hostages, some of whose families are here. I hear there are parents here whose little 3-year-old girl was kidnapped by the evil Hamas. When I went to Israel a few weeks ago, right after the 7th, I met with the families of those being held, with 5 senators, Democrat and Republican. I heard of parents whose little babies were taken. I heard of brothers whose sisters were killed. I heard horrible stories about the brutality of Hamas, and the 5 of us, Democratic and Republican senators, wept and cried for a whole hour. The sadness was so great, the evil so horrible. We will continue fighting for the release of all hostages till they return to safety. Let them go. Let them go. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. Like so many Jewish people, the horrors of October 7th reminded me of what happened to my ancestors in Western Ukraine when the Nazis invaded. So the minute I heard of what happened in January 7th, I knew I had to go to Israel. As the first-ranking Jewish Senate Majority Leader, in fact, the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in American history, I not only had a desire to go to Israel, I felt a special obligation to go. When I got off the plane, Israel was still shaken from what happened. I said to the Israeli people, Israel, we in America have your back. America feels your pain. We ache with you. We stand with you. And we will not rest until you get all the assistance you need. We will not rest until you get the assistance you need. My friends, in conclusion, Hamas's goal was to scare us. Those perpetrating the poison of anti-Semitism and bigotry around the world are trying to scare us. But we will not allow history to slide back to the days of the Holocaust when Jews were targeted and murdered and butchered. Instead, the Jewish people will be resilient. And today, all of you are here showing we will not hide in the face of adversity. In America and in Israel, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 The people Israel here in America and in Israel, the Jewish people will live forever.
Well, it is so good to be with you all. What an extraordinary crowd. And it was organized in just a few days. It's amazing, amazing. There are few issues in Washington that could so easily bring together leaders of both parties in both chambers. But the survival of the state of Israel and her people unites us together, and it unites all Americans, all Americans. Let me be very clear. The United States stands unequivocally with our neighbor, our friend, our ally, Israel. They're neighbors in a global sense. That's right. Last week, a bipartisan group of members stood in solidarity on the steps of the House to mourn the lives in the October 7th attack and to grieve with the families of Israeli hostages that are still being held in Gaza. We heard heartbreaking and tragic accounts of their kidnappings. And of course, as you know, many of those families haven't received an update on their well-being since that day. As a parent myself, I can begin to comprehend their despair. All of us feel that way. This morning, we watched the horrific film that was produced by Hamas from their own cameras as they committed the assault. It's unspeakable. The auditorium was full of Republicans and Democrats in the House, and they wept as we watched the film together. Most couldn't sit through it. These Israeli hostages were kidnapped in their homes by barbaric Hamas terrorists for simply being Jewish and living in Israel. As Prime Minister Netanyahu says so well, this is a fight between good and evil, between light and darkness, between civilization and barbarism. The calls for a ceasefire are outrageous. We stand with you in that. Hamas terrorists waged the bloodiest assault on Jewish lives since the Holocaust, and there are hundreds of hostages, many of them Americans, still stuck inside Gaza. Israel will cease their counteroffensive when Hamas ceases to be a threat to the Jewish state. But Hamas's genocidal and anti-Semitic rhetoric isn't just confined to Gaza, as you know. The war in Israel has awakened an alarming amount of anti-Semitism towards Jewish people here in the United States and across the globe. From the halls of Congress to college campuses, this rise of anti-Semitism must be stopped. We've heard many echo the Hamas rallying cry of "from the river to the sea," and I'm convinced that a lot of these college students that are engaging in these protests do not understand that is an explicit call for the extermination of Israel. It is happening daily in our country, as you know, and it is unacceptable for Jewish Americans to feel unsafe at home. It is unacceptable for Jewish businesses to face violence, vandalism, and threats. It is unacceptable for universities to allow Hamas apologists to assault and accost Jewish students on campus. It is unacceptable for any political leader in this nation to give credence to this dangerous rhetoric. We can and we must do more to stand with our great ally and friend. And it is my hope that this gathering today serves as a reminder to the entire world, but also to those within our own borders, that the United States stands proudly with Israel and the Jewish people forever, forever. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. God bless you.
Leader Schumer, Speaker Johnson, Senator Ernst, all those assembled, shalom. What an honor and a blessing to stand with you in solidarity during this very difficult moment for the Jewish people and for Israel. Hamas brutally attacked Israel on October 7th because Hamas wants to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So let me be clear. We will never let that happen. Congress will continue to support in a bipartisan way the state of Israel and Israel's unequivocal right to exist as a Jewish and democratic state, always and forever. Always and forever. Always and forever. From the very beginning of this conflict, President Joe Biden has strongly supported the state of Israel. And I strongly support President Biden's supplemental funding request for Israel, for Ukraine, and for humanitarian assistance. We must also decisively address the cancer of anti-Semitism with the fierce urgency of now. An attack on any of us is an attack on all of us. And we are going to do everything possible to stop the anti-Semitic attacks against our Jewish brothers and sisters. The United States and Israel have a special relationship. Our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad. And let me be clear, Israel has an absolute right to defend itself against Hamas terror. There's a question on the minds of many of us. Where do we go from here? We must stand with Israel in its effort to decisively defeat Hamas and make sure that this brutal terrorist regime can never rise again. We must make sure that every single hostage is returned home safely. And then we must stand together to secure a just and lasting peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. The special relationship between the United States and Israel is, yes, rooted in our shared values and our shared strategic interests. But the moral case for Israel is anchored in the painful history of the Jewish people. For centuries, Jews have been persecuted, brutalized by anti-Semitism, and violently thrown out of country after country. The Jewish people were violently expelled from Jerusalem by the Roman Empire. The Jewish people were violently expelled from Alexandria. The Jewish people were violently expelled from France. The Jewish people were violently expelled from England. The Jewish people were violently expelled from Spain. The Jewish people were violently expelled from Switzerland. The Jewish people were violently expelled from Portugal. The Jewish people were violently expelled from countries all throughout Europe. The Jewish people were violently expelled from the Middle East. The Jewish people were systematically murdered by the Nazi regime. The Jewish people were violently attacked by Hamas on October 7th, resulting in the largest loss of Jewish life in a single day since the Holocaust. So we are here, more than 100,000 people strong, to unequivocally declare never again. Never again. Never again. The state of Israel must always exist as a safe haven for the Jewish people. And so we stand together with the Jewish community in Israel. We stand together with the Jewish community in America.
We stand together with the Jewish community all throughout the world. We stand together in the effort to crush anti-Semitism. We stand together in the effort to crush anti-Jewish hate. We stand together in the effort to bring home the hostages. We stand together in the effort to make sure that America will always be a safe space for the Jewish community in every single zip code. God bless the hostages. God bless Israel. God bless the United States of America.
United States of America, do you stand with Israel? Folks, I am here today as a longtime friend and staunch supporter of our greatest partner in the Middle East, Israel. In December 2014, before I was even sworn in to the United States Senate, I visited Kibbutz Nir Oz in southern Israel by the Gaza border, one of the kibbutzim that was hit the hardest by Hamas on October 7th. Israel and her people hold a very special place in my heart. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here to show your unwavering support for our Jewish brothers and sisters. What Iran-backed Hamas perpetrated on October 7th was pure evil, and those monsters deserve nothing short of complete and total destruction. Three days after the heinous terror attacks, I was on the ground in Israel, meeting with American and Israeli families and sitting across the table from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as opposition leader Lapid. We heard from a father who rushed over from the funeral of his son's 18-year-old best friend, who had just been brutally murdered at the hands of Hamas. We spoke with the family of an 80-year-old father of 5, a peace activist who drove Palestinian children to doctor's appointments, who was kidnapped from his home during the invasion. With tears in their eyes, his family recounted the inhumanity of the attack, the destruction of their home, and ultimately the death of their brother while he was valiantly defending their home and family. In every meeting, the message was abundantly clear. Do not let the United States cower when the world starts to. Stand steadfastly in your solidarity. So we are here today as Republicans and as Democrats to assure you we will not shrink back and shudder in fear, as we will not shudder in fear as too many around the world already have. We will not sit quiet as anti-Semitism is being promulgated in classrooms and campuses around the country. The brutal reality of Hamas cannot be diminished. They murder babies. They rape women. They abuse the elderly. They killed 30 of our fellow Americans, hundreds of our Israeli friends, and are currently, right now, holding 200 innocent men, women, and children hostage. How anyone in America could sympathize with these terrorists is truly unfathomable. Friends, there should not be a shred of anti-Semitism in our country. Not now, not ever. Not only today, but in the coming weeks and months, as Israel fights to secure their most basic human right, the right to life, the United States must remain resolute. In the Senate, we will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of you, our Jewish friends in Israel, the United States, and around the world. May God be with those who have lost a loved one, those who are waiting on the phone for an update about a son or daughter, those who are facing unprecedented harassment and hostility, and those whose family members bravely serving in the Middle East. And may God bless Israel. God bless Israel. As she rightly defends herself against Hamas's brutal attacks, Israel, the United States will always have your back.
Let's hold up our hands and go. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel.
כל הזמן מוצאים את עצמנו משחקים עם החיים במחבואים, פותחים דף לבן ומציירים לילדות איש מטפס על הקירות. איתך גם סוף העולם לא מפחיד אותי, אני חורט על הלב תמונה על המיטה, איך שעון נופל עליי כמו בהזמנה. איתך גם סוף העולם לא מפחיד אותי, אני חורטת על הלב תמונה על המיטה, איך שעון נופל עליך כמו בהזמנה.
Please welcome Ishai Ribo.
צהריים טובים, קהל יקר ואהוב. אנחנו ממש מרגישים זכות להיות כאן היום איתכם. זו הזדמנות גם לומר תודה לתמיכה הגדולה של ארצות הברית שמאפשרים את המעמד האדיר הזה. לא מובן מאליו. היום זה ראש חודש כסלו, ובראש חודש כסלו אנחנו יודעים שזה החודש שבו האור גבר על החושך. ועכשיו אני רואה מול העיניים שלי אור אין סוף. יש פה מלא אור, והוא ודאי יגבר על החושך הזה שחווינו בשבת הקשה הזאת. אבל מאז התגלה בעם שלנו, בתוך הכאב ובתוך השבר, התגלו עוצמות אדירות של אהבה, של נתינה, של חסד, של עין טובה. כל הפילוג שהיה נעלם והפכנו להיות לב אחד.